welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Rivals Runback, featuring myself, Righteous, and of course, CB the Barbarian. Our last week of the regular season of Split 2 just concluded, but before we jump into everything, that was week 5. CB, how you doing tonight?
Doing great. Got through another regular season. Uh, Nothing too crazy happened. Yeah, excited to get into this one, and then moving forward, the runbacks will be a little different in playoffs. So
Yeah, I don't remember. We'd have to go back and watch how we did it before in playoffs, but a lot of it was just some postseason awards and the like. But that's a ways away. We have our last week of the regular season to talk about before we jump into some power rankings and predictions. Our first week of inter division play. Um, if you're going off of the seeds heading into it, it went about as expected as you could have expected. There was some things that stood out to me. Where do you want to start here, CB?
I don't have the schedule pulled up actually, so we can go top down on the schedule. But you
All
have to tell
right,
me who it
top
is.
down. Braum Lives Matter took on Omega Gaming. BLM took a quick 2-0 over Omega. It wasn't particularly close. Game 1 went 34 minutes, but game 2, sub 29-minute win for BLM.
Yeah, that's one that I don't know if I'm surprised in the outcome. I think maybe surprised that it doesn't look like it was a closer series. Uh, I think a lot of people had. I mean, most everybody has BLM at the either 1 or 2 spot, depending on who you ask. And then OG's kind of, you know, semi penciled into that 3rd spot. And so 1 versus 3 or 2 versus 3, either way you look at it, I think a lot of people had that one going 3 games, or at least 2 really close games. And I don't know, BLM either show that they're the clear one, or did OG show that maybe they're really in that 3-4 conversation?
Yeah, it's tough. In the is it 2 losses or 3 losses that OG has had now? I
Patriots
think
and
it's
BLM.
2.
So just the
To
top two
BLM.
teams.
In those 2 losses, however, Concrete probably had his worst series between the two. Um, was a series to forget for him for against BLM. I'm not sure if there's just a particular way that both the Patriots and BLM have attacked the mid lane position throughout the split, but it just seems like whenever Concrete is going against the high shelf competition, he struggles in those moments. Is that something to be concerned heading into playoffs? Or do you think he could figure it out?
I mean, yeah, facing the top two, at least power ranking wise, and as far as the games look, top 2 mid laners. So I mean, I still feel like Concrete's in that like at least mid tier category for the mids. Uh, Playoffs is gonna be best of 5. So does that fare better for him? Uh, After you get past these other mid laners that we call the 1 and 2 mid laners, um, outside of their maybe best couple of champs, maybe it's a more even playing field. So maybe that will help OG in the actual playoffs.
We will have to see for Braum Lives Matter. I mean, it looked like they were able to do pretty much whatever they wanted without a hitch. Pretty strong team fighting. Coming out from them, Tiny Fist of Fury locking in the Sona, which is kind of funny to see. There's been a big Twitter debate over whether Sona is actually a good support or if it's just bait, but it seemed like it was good for them. Moving on to the next matchup, our only matchup to go the full 3 games was Elysium Genji Easy taking on Juicebox Gang, which proved to be an elimination match. Juicebox Gang falling out of playoff contention with that loss. It was back and forth, as evidenced by it going 3 games. The the longest game, however, was only 32 minutes, and that was Elysium's defeat. Uh, Juicebox Gang, of course, they had a better record than a couple of teams that will be making the playoffs. But, I mean, was this your? I think this was my my outcome. I don't remember what exactly I predicted, but did you have this being as close as it ended up being?
Yeah, I definitely expected this to be the closest series of the week. I think this was the one that they had like identical-ish records, or maybe one game different. Um, Definitely felt like it could have went either way. I think I predicted a 2-0, but it was going to be like a close two games, so call it the same thing. I got to catch some of Game Three, and at least the second half was not very close. So EOY had a convincing at least second half to that Game Three. Their team fight
Mm-hmm.
was pretty nasty. So um, I don't know. I still feel like
Kind
it
of
was
a
kind of a toss up of who was gonna get in. Do I think EOY probably has the higher floor between the two teams.
mm-hmm.
And so in a best of five playoff series, I think that's probably better. Um, Whereas, JBG, I'd argue, has one of the highest, has one of the highest ceilings for this split two. Um, it's better suited for a best of three series type thing. So I think it worked out probably how it should have. Um, but no, it was a good series between the two of them.
Yeah, kind of an interesting draft coming out from JBG in Game Three. Maybe it was the Rivals draft format that kind of led to a variety of champions being picked for them. It just didn't seem like it was pretty. It was very coherent, top to bottom. I kind of get I like the Ivern locked in with the Kog'Maw. Then outside of that, not a lot of hard CC for a team that featured Darius, a Gallia, and a Nocturne. So, um, maybe some drafting woes there. But yeah, Elysium does have some question marks. We talked about it before. Um, how multiple members of this team found huge success in the regular season of last split. The split, it didn't come freely. Maybe they're putting it together here at the very tail end of it. Some interesting things to note. It was Terran, right? It was a big thing last split about how to pronounce this guy's name. I'm pretty sure it was Terran. Um, Coming back into the lineup, maybe some bad blood for their former player, Romeo, perhaps. Um, but either way, if Terran continues to compete with them, that's something to keep track of. As there was a role swap in Game 3 where Storm took top, Terran went mid, so maybe that's something that they employ heading into the playoffs. Um,
Yeah, I
what
think
else?
to note because of how the rules are. Uh, I mean, Terran, I think plays more mid, right? If I'm recollecting, at least subbed in a lot mid last, but and so wouldn't be surprised to see more lane swapping, especially in a best of five, just in case some people target champ pools and whatnot. So they have that flexibility. I think I forget how the rules read, but at least I know games 4 and 5. I think if you swap roles, I don't know. I don't want to misquote the rules, but they have the flexibility to swap roles and to kind of double their champ
Yeah,
pools at the different roles. So wouldn't be surprised if we see Storm make some top lane appearances and Terran some mid lane. So yeah,
yeah. I mean, top and mid are free to switch between the two, even if they don't line up that way. So,
oh yeah,
yeah,
true.
could could get a spicy there. Moving on, Patriots taking on Orcas. It was a game that was streamed, I believe, by our good friends over at Invicta.
Yep,
Is that right?
yep.
Um, Patriots took a very fast 2-0. Neither game reached the 29.5 minute mark. Game two almost at 29-27. Um, Nike Dragon popping off in a substitute performance. Believe he got a penta. I don't know if it was game one or game two, but game two popped off for 20 kills, 6 assists, and only 4 deaths. Outrage roll swapped to bot. Z Rhino played mid. Red Face Beast subbed in at jungle, so that was 4 straight weeks of a different jungler for this Orcus team. Um, what do we make of it all?
Man, I thought for a second that all the role swaps was gonna be like the secret sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't prove to be that way. I do think game two was probably closer than Patriots wanted it to be. Ultimately, I guess the series didn't really matter for Patriots. They had the one seed locked in, but meant more for the Orcas as even with the O2, they did end up still getting into playoffs, obviously, but that was
Mhm.
kind of out of their hands because JRBB lost. Um, I don't know who's going to go where in their playoff match against Kachow. That's a question mark. Do they swap around because it's a best of 5 to open up some champ pools between the games? That's also an opportunity. So uh, I don't know. I think maybe my high hopes for Orcas has kind of ran its course. 1-4 on the season, but all you had to do is make playoffs, and that's what they did. So um, now all that's standing in front of them to making semis is what Kachow eSports, right? So that's all they have to worry about, and I think it'll actually be a close one. So Orcas lost, but they could say they were just trying out some new stuff because they knew they were going to make playoffs.
It should be noted that I believe Orca's last victory came in week 2. That was a 2-1 win over Elysium. They haven't won since. So they're limping into playoffs, but like you said, once you make it, you can kind of throw all previous expectations out the window and just focus on the here and now. I agree. I think the Kachow series will be good, but it really comes down to if and when Orcas can lock, a solid 5. As I don't, even in their win, I think it's been a different combination of players each week. Don't
Sounds
quote me
about
on
right.
that. Maybe week 1 and 2 are the same, but um, for the Patriots, it seems like they've put everything together. If you're looking at it, they basically they beat everybody in the quote unquote harder division, and then they, kind of trounced the former number 2 seed in your division. So other than that BLM loss all the way back in week 1, they're riding a high. They look very tough to beat. Doesn't really matter which ADC that they have in there. So they seem to be operating on all cylinders. Um, Last but not least, Chow Esports and Jolly Rogers Broadside Buccaneers, the game that we streamed.
Yep.
Um, it was an interesting start. Apologies to all the teams affected. There was a little bit of
Oh yeah.
miscommunication between all parties involved, but Kachow got the ESET that they needed, and Shinobi locked in a Taric jungle in game 2. Um, I don't think the Taric is why that team won. It was a lot to do with Key on the mid lane, Zeri. But from what I can tell, Kachow seem to have different avenues in which they can beat you. Macho on the Mel looked extremely scary. They've run a couple different top laners. I think Kittens should stay support. That's the best that we've seen her play. That is her native role. If you're looking at the op.gg, um, and probably the best we've seen Kachow play up until this point.
Yeah, it's tough. I guess I would agree. Kitten support, but I mean, I guess Adrian's on the team, right? He could come in a jungle. The question is who's going to go jungle because Shinobi was the E sub. So um, uh, playoffs, I'd say some question marks around it. I say put Key in a carry role, which I guess you could make any role a carry role. So it just kind of depends. In this series specifically, I mean, JRBB could have won game 1.
For sure. For
I
sure.
guess you can say that any team can win any game type thing, but I felt
And
like
they
game
definitely had
1
the momentum game 1 at a certain point.
they would have played better around the Alawi. I think they win, but
Yeah.
call it chemistry,
Or
call it
even the
macro,
team
whatever.
fights around Caden. Caden
Yeah.
had a couple of nice engages that
Oh
just
yeah.
weren't followed up.
Yeah, the Galio, right?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so the game 1 there was ample opportunities for them to take the victory. Eventually, they just got to the point where they're outscaled. Right, they have an Ornn and a Mel. They're playing into the I can't even think of her name. Yuntara mid didn't
Alright.
really do well at the beginning. Yunara. Sorry, apologies. Kind of got clapped, but came alive towards the late game. and then it seemed like that was kind of like the backbreaker for this JRBB team because game two, I mean,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was not close.
that was a rough one game too. Um, no, I don't even know if that was. I mean, obviously, Key completely popped off and was just like unkillable. With the two enchanters on the team with Azeri. But no, the game two not close. JRBB maybe a little checked out as they felt probably game one was very winnable, but just a mistake. So yeah, nonetheless, we bid farewell to Jolly Rogers. Appreciate them and Juicebox both for coming out. But Kachow is gonna move on, and they'll face the Orcas as we already talked about a little bit.
All right, so uh, we jump into the player power rankings now. That was the week in a nutshell. Chat, as always, who are we starting with, or what position should we be starting with here? As I pull up last week's power rankings to make sure we can compare.
What role do
What
we start
position?
with?
Support. Thanks,
Oh,
Boogman. Boogman.
I
Oh wait,
anticipate some potential hurt feelings this week, uh,
probably.
but that's okay.
Just hurt feelings every week.
True.
Okay.
Most important role first.
Support rankings up. Here we go. So, if I am reading this correctly, some shakeups here. Number 8 stays the same team. Last week, Inferno SK. This week, Granted EX. Number 7, Savvy moves down one spot from 6 to 7. 6 is Jonicus, who also moved down a couple of spots. Rogue Gorilla at 5, moved up from number 7. Poodle 25 at 4, moved down one spot. Kittens at 3, was I think her debut. She hadn't played support previously. Tiny Fist of Fury actually moved down one spot, and Death Knight overtook them at number 1, jumping up from number 2.
Yeah, so a little bit of jumping around. I think the main, I guess, contributors to most people shifting was Rogue. Uh, Wait, Rogue jumped up or down? Am I tripping? Was this the week after Eli? Okay, after Eli didn't have to play that 1 week. So Rogue had dropped down, and then Kitten's making the debut. It's always tough to rank the people that kind of make the debut at that role and then play really well. And so it's like you have a small sample size, but they played really well. So how do you rank them appropriately? So Kittens is the one that sticks out, I guess, as shifting people around. But
Yeah.
so Granted X, the sub, who I think is subbed in at 80 carry, just kind of a rough series overall for them. So naturally, eight kind of is what it is. Not too far in front, I'd say, is Savvy. Didn't have a terrible week by any means, but just kind of a rough series, and I'd say a mix of how the season has kind of went.
I think, yeah, I
But
mean,
the Leona looked
it,
like it went all
the
right.
Leona looked okay. The Soraka Jinx just seems like a lane that unless you play around it, it's gonna struggle, and that's kind of exactly what happened.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, you had Ash for. Yeah, I mean, you don't have the really the outpoke necessarily, and then yeah, just a weaker lane. So that's a maybe questionable pick, but Leona looked decent and gonna end the last week at 7. Jonakiss at 6. Second week for Jonakiss' support, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Was playing some jungle. Um, and if I can find it so I don't lose my stuff, because it's
What
the series that went
Rakan?
3. Yeah.
Yeah, Rakan game 1, popped off on the Maokai in game 2, and then had an okay performance on the Tahm Kench in the third game. I mean, to be fair, it seems like Stank, regardless if it was Jonikis or Tyler Durden, was doing rather well in these series. Not sure what the problem was for them. It just seemed to be a recurring issue where you have a super fed AD carry and then an inability to play around them.
Yeah. Yeah. The game 3, I mean, I'm a Tom Kinch fan, but I assume it assume it was blind. I actually didn't check, but I assume it was blind because Rail's very good counter to it. In the late game, Tom couldn't really do too much, but Maokai looked good enough to get him in the 6th spot. Rogue jumping to 5. Uh, I didn't think Rogue would ever drop below the 5s, but that's okay. We made it back either way, and made it into playoffs. So I don't know why I keep losing games. So played against Jonikis, so they're right next to each other. The Nami looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe want to forget about the Seraphine game. That one didn't go the hottest. But game 3 is the only real one that matters. And if you can keep your 80 carry from ever dying, then you're doing something right as sport.
Yeah. Um, Looking at the top of the leaderboards, Poodle at 4. You know, there is the argument to be made, and it's neither here nor there. 3 and 4 maybe could have been switched. Similar play styles between these two players. You could say, oh, Poodle played the entire season. Maybe she should be higher, but it was kind of a rough week for Omega. Poodle was no exception. However, we did get to see Poodle lock in Leona and do actually pretty well, which was good to see. As you head into playoffs, kind of expanding that pool, making sure there's other picks in the pocket, will be good. I think, like I said before, I think Kittens, this is the role that she needs to be in for this team. And then a swapping of 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Let's hear the case. Let's hear the case 4 before everybody jumps on to why we're wrong.
So I think in almost every role, the gap between 1 and 2 is damn near minimal, damn near 0, I guess. And so it's really a 1A, 1B type thing. A lot of the times, I don't have 1 and 2 jumping each other. Granted, I do think these players are really close to one another. I think it was really because of how the Pats series went, and specifically for how the 80 carry was able to play in the Patriot series. Nike Dragon didn't die the first game, and then game 2, obviously a 20 bomb. If your 80 carry gets 20 kills, it's directly because of your support. And so a little bit of uptick for Death Knight, and then I wouldn't say Tiny Fist Fury got pinged necessarily. Had still a solid series.
Yeah.
Just maybe didn't shine as bright as how Death Knight did this week. But again, I still think it's like a 1A 1B type thing.
I agree. I think if you're looking at like this final week, this is the first time that we've seen a team just like hard win a series, back-to-back games through bot lane. Salo, of course, had a pretty nice series between those two games as well. Kind of left a little bit to be desired on the Swain, and then top BK's popping off the Aurora game 1, and then having a so-so performance on the Mundo. But like back-to-back performances where like Nike Dragon is just, for lack of a better term, just dumpstering on some kids. Death Knight right there with him. Like it's the first series where looking at it on paper, I'd have to go back and watch the VODs, but it seems pretty clear. Like, yeah, they took 2 games because they were the better bot lane duo, and the rest of the map, had a little bit to do with that.
Yep. We'll see if the 1 and 2 end up facing each other in finals or not. People were whispering it, but still a lot of games before we get into all that. So there are your support power rankings after the last week of regular season.
All right, chat. Next position. Let us know what role you guys want covered. Top. All right. Terran coming in all caps. So we're going to go top first. Let me pull up last week's. Okay, I'm ready. Because there are some shakeups here. Most notably, as you pull it up, number 8 is not occupied by a JRBB member.
True.
That's the big one. Let's see here. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not updated on my end. There we go. There's top one. So 8, Dude Caleb dropping down from number 7. Number 7 is reverse. Dropping down from 6, who was Ray previously. 6, Gabriel Leo. Narva was number 3 for the Orcas last week, so you could say it's a big drop. 2 different players. It's kind of tough to tell. Walk Warlock rises from number 8 to 5. Big news at 4. rising up one spot from last week. Terran at 3, rising one spot above Mango. BK is at 2, dropping one spot, and then once again, like support, another switcheroo. Kama comes in at 1.
Yeah, I'd say some shakeups, Obviously, some new faces as well. I mean, we just go from the bottom up. Just uh, I think most of the split, obviously, Duke Caleb gets put on tank duty. Um, if he plays against every single one of these top laners, does he just lose to all of them? No, I don't think so. I think 7 and 8 was really a coin toss, and this is how it landed. Because I don't think maybe Reverse had the best of series either, but Dude Caleb's kind of been teetering towards the bottom of this list most of the split, and so
Yeah.
kind of a rough week once again in their 3 game series. So gonna take the 8th and then Reverse of course in the streamed game. Um, game 1 was definitely one to forget. I think for Reverse looked okay in the early parts of game 2, so just enough to be 7 instead of 8 there.
Yeah, I think game 2, it was kind of like a boss, like, int but be annoying performance where, I mean, he's playing Singed and he's just always 20 CS up over the opponent. If he's dying, then he's taking resources away from other parts of the map and bringing them up top. And they really couldn't get anything going with the Aatrox. So, I'm okay with that playstyle so long as the rest of the team is on board, which seems like, they had a plan, which was, okay, Key's going to carry and we're all just going to play around him. Um, Gabriel Leo at 6. I was a big fan of Gabriel in the jungle last week. Um, I said it then. I'll say it again. I think that's kind of where I think he would thrive. I don't think his landing's the best, but I think he has a good understanding of the game. It's just like he gets punished in laning phase sometimes, and that's okay if you have another avenue or player which you could play around. I just don't know if the Orcas have that. So they need all the help that they can get. 5, Walk Warlock, rising from number 8. Coming into the season, I think the expectation was for this player to do rather well. Um, I think Walk right up there with some of the better laning phases when we got to see him. Would kind of tailor off late, but was a big fan of what he was able to do on the Alawi in their series this past week.
Yeah, I think the Alawi series in itself, I mean laning phase, I think the late game split pushing was okay, but it just looked like the whole
Yeah,
team turned their mics off, so
yeah,
that was some miscommunication and whatnot. Overall macro of the whole team, but yeah, Alawi just good pick into the Ornn and definitely proved why you pick Alawi Ornn. Game 2, I think maybe the early phase was, I guess, more so annoying. Didn't like die anything crazy to reverse a
mm-hmm.
Singed, but maybe a little over aggressive a couple times.
Yeah,
So I think the bottom half, I'd be hard pressed to change any of it. Top 4, maybe some more conversations of who could get flipped around. Obviously, big news. At 4 has ping ponged around to different spots. Gonna land here at 4th if I could maybe have it, because they played against the number 1 team on this list, the number 1 top laner. Pulled out the Smolder. You see every now and then even an Olaf, maybe equally as rare in competitive play as of late. Um, didn't like hard in, didn't do anything too crazy. So I feel good about 4.
yeah. My first introduction to big news was the back-to-back quadras. Like that was the first time I ever seen him play.
Yeah.
So, going off of that expectation, hasn't really lived quite up to that. Um, but he's been solid all around for this team. A lot of the time when Omega is doing well, big news is a big part of that. Um, you know, Without being able to look back into the BLM series, don't know what happened, but it looks like big news to his credit did okay. Game 1 kept it really close in terms of the individual gold between him and his opponent. Game 2, a little bit less than, but um, it's tough to keep up when you're kind of getting steamrolled like that. So is he really the fourth best? Um, Looking at the bottom four behind him, I would be hard pressed to say, yeah, this person should be above them. So I think four is a good spot for big news. Terran, on the theme of it's hard to rank players with no, um, experience up until that point for this split. Um, he came in and I think provided a lot for a team that was struggling to find its identity. Now I don't know if that's due to Terran or just the fact that Terran allows them to play around whatever they were trying to draft a little bit more. But he went 9-1-7 on the Mordekaiser, winning a matchup into Garen when Garen took the Ignite. And then the defeat, there's probably a reason why Trundle is so high pride in jungle and not top right now. But dude, Caleb went 3-4, right? So it wasn't like he got steamrolled top and that's why they lost. Um, you know,
Yeah.
I would like to see a little bit more from this player before I say, yeah, he's a top 3 player. But for the purposes of this list, it makes sense.
Yeah. I don't, we'll see how it looks after we go through all the roles. Is top lane out of the 5 roles one of
The
the weaker
weakest,
roles?
I would say so.
It kind of feels like that. With all due respect. Now, Terran coming in, obviously, I don't know all the inner workings of what happened with their roster and whatnot, but anytime you have a sub come in, especially when it's not a playoff game, but I guess a play-in game, equally important to stay in the running for playoffs.
Hmm.
And they pop off, especially in the game one, on and off roll for the most part. That's always good to see. We can erase game two. Game 1 and 3 look solid. So I like Terran at 3. And the top 2, of course, are the ones to look at, kind of like the other, kind of like support. We have a flip flop. So Kama gonna take the 1 spot over BK's. I still think it's like a 1A, 1B type situation.
For sure.
Of course, these 2 top laners did not play against each other in week 1. There was a sub for BLM in that week 1 matchup, so we did not get to see these 2 top laners go against each other. BK's has had one of the most solid splits, had games where he almost solo won games, where Kama has also had, I don't know if I would say as high of ceiling performances, but definitely a staple up in the top lane. I mean, this week had really good performances. Of course, BLM has multiple avenues to carry their team.
Hmm.
But I mean, Kama looked good on the Susan and the set up there in the top lane.
Yeah. What's interesting is like for the Patriots, that second game, I think it's the first time we've seen BK's not on Aurora, Nasus, or York, if I'm not mistaken.
Dang,
I
look at
mean,
stress.
somebody could fact check me. Well, I've talked about it before.
Yeah, no,
Like,
for
it's
sure.
it's crazy that BK's keeps getting his champs. So the fact that he didn't get one of his quote unquote desirable champs and still performed, adequately, um, is good for the Patriots heading into the formats. But well, I would say like if I'm justifying the one over the two, I think Kama has shown a wide breadth of champions.
Yeah,
The BK's hasn't. And so for BLM, having a top laner that allows Drakenrich and Neon Sword to kind of be played around bot lane, take minimal resources, and still gotta come on top most of the time is a pretty nice tool to have.
yeah, true. I agree. Uh, so there you have it. Top lane after the regular season. I believe we're gonna throw it to a break before
Yep.
we hop into the third role.
Yeah. Get your fingers ready. Let us know who we're going to cover once we are back. We will be back here shortly. we are back. As CB put in the chat, remaining positions are jungle, middle, and ADC. First position to get mentioned in the chat will be the next one we cover. And Salo got it. Mid lane. All right. Pull this up.
Boom, 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 boom.
Here we go. Number 8, Caden for JRBB remains the same. Number 7, Millie Bobby Brown dropping from number 5. Concrete at 6 is our big faller of the week, all the way down from number 3. Z Rhino coming in at
5.
Sorry, at number 5. I was looking to see if he had played mid before, but it's been outrage every week. So making his debut at number 5. 4 is Storm once again. Key sliding up at number 3 after an excellent performance. 2 is Salo dropping 1 spot, and 1 is Drakenrich.
Yeah, this one was an interesting one, I'd say. Was there 2 new faces? Yeah. Kind of to the mid lane. So the bottom portion was a tough one. Caden by no means had a bad week. The Galio actually looked pretty solid. You could say maybe the
Really round popped off though. Game 2.
Yeah, that's why it wasn't like, okay, I saw Caden's performance instantly to 8. It was just like comparatively, how do you put MBB at 8 after their series? You could say the Silas to Silas comparison. Game 1 wasn't so hot for Millie Bobby Brown, but got the classic Kiana pick, and that game alone was enough just to get the 7 spot. So it's pretty close. Each of them had a good game, but Kiana's gonna get the name up in lights, I guess, a little bit more. And then 6 Concrete. You mentioned it. Drop some spots.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough week. I think if Key stays mid, anywhere between 4 and 6 for Concrete feels good, in my opinion. It's a troubling trend where Concrete plays the top 2 teams in the league and gets clapped both times. So, who knows?
Yeah, that's it was a rough week. I mean, it was like 2-7, 1-5, something like that. Not that it's strictly KDA, but two range mages and just had a rough week, so gonna drop some spots. And of course, it's because 2 people above all of those 3 players. Is Key making the debut, or was Key jungle last week? I don't know, I forget. But Rhino, nonetheless, gonna make a mid lane appearance with the Orcus like full team swap around thing that they had going on. Game 1 didn't look so hot. Game 2 though, Hwei, we don't see too many people pull out the Hwei, but I mean, looked pretty solid. Still wasn't enough maybe to carry the team to a win, but solid performance in the mid lane nonetheless.
Yeah, Storm remaining at 4. I think this is Storm's best week. However, his best game didn't come in mid. So I don't know if you can ding him for that, but I don't think it really counts towards his mid lane ranking. But did have a very nice performance on Akali before a forgettable one in their loss on Vigar. Key making his debut in mid. We've seen this player play mid a lot last split, but it was his first week in mid. For the split 2. Salo at 2 and Drakenrich at 1. It's always close between these 2 players, it seems like. I just want to know your thoughts first before we jump into it. Why Drakenrich at 1 this week of all weeks as opposed to any of the previous ones?
Yeah, so first I'll toss in Key's name as a hard pop off carry performance, and I think if Drakenrich and Salo weren't so far ahead of all the other mid laners, just like cumulatively across the weeks, that Key could be in that conversation. But I think the 1 and 2 spot had separated themselves, so that's why Key landed at 3 even after crazy performances in their split in their series. The 2 and 1, like most of these positions, it's pretty close to like a 1A 1B type thing. Uh, it was very close last week for Draken to hop Salo, but I didn't think it was quite enough. And this week, what kind of seemed like the theme for a lot of the Patriots players in that game too, is it was a series that I guess didn't really matter. Maybe they got a little relaxed in that game too, and so I still think Salo has a higher ceiling, but Draken has that like a higher level consistency. I don't know if you could say. Salo didn't play poorly game 2 by any means, but whenever the norm is high stat line carry performance type thing. Whenever you dip below that and you have somebody right on your heels, that opens it up for someone to jump you. So I think Salo
At
just
the end of the
maybe
day,
lost the point, and Draken had 2 once again consistent performances. So
yeah.
relaxing that game 2 on that Swain, he lost the point.
And at the end of the day, Jack and Rich has the head-to-head. I mean, we can't throw away the week 1 results. You got the better of Salo in the 1v1, especially on that counter pick with the Vex. But I agree. I like the majority of these positions. It seems like it's a 1A 1B sort of situation for multiple players on both the Patriots and Braum Lives Matter. Definitely the 2 teams to beat heading into playoffs. All right, chat. We got 2 positions left. Support? No.
We can do sport again.
Yes.
No, it's
No. It's
jungle carry.
jungle carry. Yeah. Jungle or ADC.
Carry. Jungle carry teams. Mm, mm, mm. We'll never know. We did the 3 most important roles, I guess.
Off.
I get 5, 4, 3, 2.
I think JH was supposed to be JG. Yeah. Let's go ahead and pop up those jungle rankings. Gonna be some hurt feelings once again.
That's what we're here for.
As well as some shakeups, some new faces. I think every role had somebody brand new to it at the very end of the week.
Maybe even 2.
Or at the very end of the regular season. So jungle starting off, Red Face Beast making his jungle debut at 8. Feels bad, but it is what it is. Pandorum rises 1 spot from 8 to 7. 8,000 coming in at number 6, staying the same week to week. Tyler Durden at 5. Last week was all the way up at number 3. Shinobi making his debut at 4. Last week for Kachao, it was Key playing jungle all the way down at number 7. Mango at 3. Elysium making a jungle switch. Previously was TI Romeo the entire split. Stealthy at 2 and Sight at 1. So once again, another switcheroo at the very tops of the rankings. Sight dethroning Stealthy for the number 1 spot final week.
Yeah, there's a trend there at the top battle between those 2 teams. But starting at the bottom, I mean, Orca's swapping their 80 carry to jungle. I thought that this was going to be the sweet spot recipe, and didn't quite work out that way. But nonetheless, they could potentially have another rematch in semifinals. We'll see. But Redface just looked like a tough series. Was it I forget what he played game 1 to game 2 was Sejuani, right?
06 Wukong and the 3-8 Sejuani.
Yeah, it's just looked like a tough one. Anytime I see a donut, especially on a carry champion, that's you get dinged a couple points for sure. So rough showing, but we'll see.
I think anytime you end up 3K under your opponent as a jungler, that's what's like the big tell. It's pretty easy to stay even in gold for the most part in jungle. So that game 1 is probably why he ends up at number 8.
Yeah, toughy. Another role where we see JRBB not at 8 is jungle will see Pandorum ending regular season at 7th. Uh, had a slightly, I mean, had a better showing than the Orcas jungler, so knocked out two kind of carry-ish.
Yeah, Pantheon looked good.
Junglers.
I,
Yeah, I
I
mean
would
the
say
two globals.
JRBB, their best game was that game one of the probably of the split, without having seen all their games. That was the one where it's like, yeah, they should have won that. But then,
Yeah, yeah, had some good ults.
yeah,
But it's just the two global ults was good. It was just tough, I'd say, macro late game, but nonetheless had a solid performance, especially I'd say early. Um, so going to end up at 7, number 6, 8,000 for OG. I think another player that's kind of moved around this list quite a bit. Of course, played the number 1 team, broke out the Mundo. It seems like Mundo Jungle is usually a complete hit or miss. Didn't go so hot this in the game 1, and then the Kane also kind of looked okay, but that was just a rough game 2 for them. So he's gonna end up at 6.
yeah, 8,000. It was a tough. It's tough when you track where he ended up in these rankings from week one to now. Because for the first 3 weeks, Omega was on upward trajectory. Week three, he ended at number one, so it's been a steady decline for him and the team, I would say, since then. But he's actually been in the 5-6 role ever since that third week. So uh, definitely not one of the worst junglers, but not living up to the potential once thought. Tyler Durden. So you know, we could talk a lot about JBG and what was good about them, what wasn't. I think Tyler Durden on the unconventional junglers like the Talon last week and then this week the Elise looks really really good. And then outside of that, looks about average, so just enough to come in at number 5. Shinobi making his debut at 4. Um, there's a case to have Durden at 4 here and Shinobi at 5, only because like that game 2, he did the equivalent to almost nothing. Had some good turret ults, but he really wasn't asked to do a lot.
Yeah, didn't have
Um,
to.
yeah, game 1 though, I think he deserves some credit coming in super late notice, and performing very well on the Amumu, especially the team fight around Grubs. Um, there's a lot to be said of just coming in and playing with 4 new players and picking up a W in a high pressure situation where these guys are playing for their playoff positions. So definitely stood out in that regard. And then Mango at 3, Stealthy at 2, and Sight at 1. Mango switching from top to jungle. Don't know what the catalyst for that was. But what did you make of his performance? Because we got some high highs and then some, you know, even in the loss, was actually doing rather well.
Yeah, I mean, has played well at top lane, pretty much all split, and then gets put into jungle. Of course, I think they knew they at least had a couple days. They knew they were going to do this. I think, um, but I mean, 2 champions with global ults, and did really well on both of them. So a lot of high impact for the whole team, and maybe that was kind of what they needed, as ELY has been kind of a team that's been question mark in the middle of the pack, maybe overlooked a little bit, but still a solid team nonetheless, all split. And so Mango Jungle might be what they need to make this playoff run. But I think those two, game 1 and 3, was
Yep.
enough to set him just above Shinobi into that 3rd spot. So
I would say had the best performance on these like pro meta junglers, the Pantheon and the Nocturne, where a lot of people are locking in, the failsafe Maokai, the Amumu, um, Volibear has been kind of rising in prio. Seeing him play on what you would call like carry junglers and do
mhm.
well was nice to see.
Yeah, a lot of people that are pulling out the carry junglers, it's usually a 50-50 coin toss, or they just
Yeah,
hard feed and then they go back to tank
yeah.
duty. So yeah, nice to see. So up there after just 1 week. And then 1-2 flip. I think have all 4 roles so far flipped. I think
Yeah.
so. Still broken record on the 1A 1B type thing.
Yeah.
Um, Sight has had a couple games this split where maybe the stat line thinks like maybe they leaned on other players to carry more. This week, he actually had some really good stats. Pulled out the Trundle. I feel like Trundle is really hot or cold depending on which match screen you're looking at and who's playing it and whatnot. So,
Hmm.
but the Poppy, a staple, looked really, really good. Um,
I
and
will say
then,
it was nice to see him bring out the Trundle counter pick into what
true.
I can assume blind sedge. The fact that he did it and did it well was really good.
Yeah, yep, true. And then Stealthy still had, I mean, Stealthy had a solid week as well. I'd just say slightly um, below Sight. And of course, they've kind of been like ping ponging back and forth
Yeah.
as far as who most people would probably put at the 1-2 spot. So still 1A, 1B type thing. We'll see if they get to face each other again in the finals or not.
We will have to see. That means our last remaining position will be bottom lane, formerly known as AD carry. Um, so let us see where everybody ranks up.
Up or down?
But I will say, new face at number 8. Outrage making his AD carry debut. Probably not where he wanted it to be, but will be slotting in number 8. Number 7, Diablo Fox, rising one spot for JRBB. Granted, EX was 8 last week. 6, Nightmare, falling, I believe, one position from last week. 5, Riley Sauce, rising all the way up from number 7. 4, Stank, falling from number 2. 3, Macho, um, rising one spot. Nike Dragon at 2, rising one spot, but it was Intelligence last week. The last time we saw Nike Dragon, he was at number 3 as well. So from his previous ranking, rose to number 2, and then Neon Sword remains consistent once again. It's been 3 straight weeks. Wow, 3 straight weeks of him at number 1.
Yeah, so first and only role that didn't get a flip. Yeah, Outrage going 80 carry. Again, thought it was going to be the recipe for success. The bot lane champs in the game one, we already kind of hit on. Interesting decisions, maybe. But those look like a rough kind of game all around. And then game 2 looked like it was all right. You could maybe say Leona Corky's interesting pairing, but had an okay game, that one. But just comparatively, gonna unfortunately end up in the 8th spot after their debut. Diablo Fox has been 8 a decent amount this split. Another JRBB member that's gonna hop up a spot. Um, Looked it's just kind of like two okay performances with all due respect.
Yeah.
Of course, had a sub support, so maybe they can blame it on that behind closed doors or something. But no, the Varus and Aphelios. Aphelios always gets the extra 1 point just because not many AD carries play Aphelios. But yeah, gonna end up at 7.
Yeah, Nightmare performed relatively well into Neon Sword. By that I mean he didn't like just hard sprint it, but Neon Sword definitely got the better of him. Riley Sauce at 5. Riley Sauce looking like the AD carry of last split. This series specifically had a very nice performance on Lucian in game 1. Game 2, forgettable with that quirky Seraphine lane. And then game 3, pulling out the APC and going deathless once again. So in their 2 wins, had 0 deaths. Stank at 4. Stank, a player that had been, well, no, not had been, was the most consistent for Juicebox Gang in the AD carry role. Even when he didn't get his Aphelios, he still looked very good. Macho at 3. This one's, it's not necessarily tough for me. I definitely believe that Macho deserves to be in the top 3. It's just weird because when I think of the best Macho performances, I don't think of him playing your standard 80 carries, and that was evident in their series where he blocked in 2 APCs, the Mel and the Ziggs.
Yeah, that's why we changed it to bottom lane, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, I think what Macho was top 3 or 4, and then dropped down. Whew. After their loss, and then this week once again. I mean, I think we saw it in chat, something about surprise. I was even surprised that they gave Macho the Mel, and reminded teams why you don't give Macho the Mel. So yeah, the just to touch back on the 4-5. Obviously, EOI beat JBG, but I think because there was a gap, it was more of a closing of the gap. You can still argue the 4-5 could be flipped, but that's where they're gonna land, as it was still a close bot lane performance. And then, yeah, Macho just hard popping off on the Mel. Um,
Yeah.
Game 1, right? And then still looks solid in game 2. So
Yeah.
3 feels good. The top 2, I get it. If you get a pentakill, maybe you should automatically be number 1. But 1, well, a couple of reasons. 1, Neon Sword has been playing solid all split, so it's very tough to jump that. But I guess this is one of the only roles where people didn't flip, so we'll throw that excuse out the window. Nike's a sub, so I'm hard pressed to really rank subs in the number 1 spot, but that's also maybe kind of a BS rule. What I would say is, okay, Nike popped off, but look at who's in number 8. That's who Nike played against. And so, you have to have some level of the strength of opponent type situation. So
Yeah.
I think 1 and 2 is close. I think if Nike or Eli played all 5 games, all split, they'd be solidified in the top 3, making the run at the number 1 spot. But because they kind of ping pong back and forth on who's playing, Nike's going to come in at 2. And if you're upset about that, take it up with your mama.
Yeah, and it's, as much as it is a week-to-week power ranking, it's also cumulative as well. We
Yeah.
try to take into account, every performance, not just week in, week out. So, you could argue, and I would hear your case, that Nike Dragon should be number 1, but the sample size is smaller than Neon Sword. Neon Sword has been just as consistent as when Nike Dragon gets to play. So, we'll take it.
Teams
Teams ranking. Yep. Team power rankings. For the most part, I mean, this one really shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. You got the 2 teams that have been eliminated at number 8 and number 7, a season to forget for JRBB. I could hear the argument the Juicebox gang should be over Orcas.
That'd be fair.
And I could even hear it being almost over Kachao, but not quite. Kachao did.
Okay.
Kachao took the head-to-head.
Okay.
I believe it went the full 3 games. Correct.
Here's some bias. I don't think it did. I don't think
it was a duo. It was a duo.
Yeah, so I think 6 and 7 could be flipped.
Yeah.
I think
I can see a Juicebox game at 6.
So
I said almost to Kachao, but not quite.
True. Okay, so I'd say the excuse, maybe. Well, 1, I guess you could say they didn't make playoffs, but that's the nature of just having groups in general. So most group type situations, you usually have one of these situations. So you can make the 6-7 argument. But if you had to pick one team that had the hardest schedule, it's Orcas. And I'm just going to say it. They had the hardest schedule.
Only because
they had the hardest schedule.
To play against the harder division.
That's the hardest schedule. They had to play Patriots and BLM. Both of them.
Shoot, number 4, Omega, falling from number 3 last week. It's weird because you could make the argument Orcas has the better win compared to Omega, as Orcas did beat Elysium way back in week 2.
True.
So.
But Omega beat Orcas.
Yeah, I know. So 3 to 6 is tough.
Yeah.
Just because there's a whole, it's kind of like, not necessarily all the way, but it's almost like one of those circle of sex situations where it's like, okay, well, one beat one, but the other beat the other.
Yeah. So you can't just rely off of that. It's just impossible.
Yeah, you can't just go straight off head to head. But for the performance, I think Omega deserved to fall 1 spot. You can make the argument the Orcas and Kachao are right on their heels. I still think they're, a little bit ahead of them. From what we can see from the matchup from last week, definitely behind Elysium, but not by much. So Elysium at 3, Patriots at 2, Brahma's Rider at 1. Look, Patriots and BLM, they're like 1A, 1B, as we've been saying, but Problem lives matter. They got what the Patriots don't, which is the head-to-head. So
Yeah, perfect season.
until the Patriots beat them in the finals potentially, that's kind of just how it's gonna be.
Yeah, I agree. That 3 versus 4 right there is of course the one that is gonna be interesting to watch. That 2 will be streamed on Sunday. With the hopes that Invicta comes through and streams Orcas versus Kachow, but we'll see. Either way, I believe it'll be Omega EOY in our streamed match on Sunday. So that'll be a good one to watch.
Yeah. Um. So I mean, there could be some arguments for some shakeups between 3 and even all the way down to 7. If you wanted to say JBG could go up one more spot, I would hear it. But it's Orcas is a weird team to rank. I feel like Orcas and Elysium are probably the most volatile in these rankings because Elysium, at least in my opinion, I don't think they really found their identity till their final week of the regular season, and that was with the brand new player. And then Orcas, they beat Elysium. I'm not convinced that they would beat Elysium again, though, with the trajectory
I'm
of the
hearing some
team right
group
now.
bias, and
So,
that's all I'm hearing.
oh well,
I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying. Orcas, it's they got that win in week 2, and then it's just been a whole lot of question marks.
Yeah.
Since so, uh, you know, do I think Orcas can maybe pull off an upset? Sure. There's nothing out of the question when it comes to the playoffs. I just don't think they know who's going to play for them at this point,
That's true.
which
Hey, they're just
makes
trying
it
it all.
hard.
They're trying it all out.
Yeah.
I mean, Kachow
Which,
also swaps around. So
if you're going to do it and you felt like playoffs for locked, you might as well do it in the regular season to figure out who you want to play with because
yeah.
it really didn't matter. All right. So there are your team power rankings. Am I forgetting anything? We have the question of the day. But is there anything else before then?
Predictions. Upcoming
Oh, yes.
predictions. There are
Predictions.
games happening this week.
There are games happening. You can throw up the you can throw up. You can put up um the standings cuz it's basically the matchups as well with the 1 seeds getting the bye for this coming week.
True.
We can talk about them. Which side do you want to take first? Your division, my division.
We'll go mine. We'll go left to right.
Okay. So Gachow taking on Orcas. Gachow will have that side select. Let's talk about a bold prediction and then what you realistically think is gonna happen.
Okay. What if it's the same thing?
Okay.
No.
That works.
Okay. If I want to get spicy with it, someone hands me a free $100 bill for a bet. I'm gonna toss it on Kachow 3-0. I'm gonna toss it on Kachow 3-0.
Yeah.
We're gonna get crazy
Okay.
with it.
That is kind of spicy.
We're just gonna rock with it. And I don't know if that's some hurt feelings on being let down by Orcas because I was rocking with them all split. But maybe it's because I think the best chance for a team to beat Patriots in semis or give them a run for their money is if Kachow beats Orcas by 3-0 or 3-1. Just because Patriots just played Orcas, it didn't look necessarily close. And so I think the best bet to move forward would be Kachow. And if it's a close series, I don't know how much faith I put in it. But if they hard beat Orcas, then that Patriots versus Kachow matchup would be interesting. So spicy would be Kachow 3-0. What do you have for your spicy?
Well, I'm trying to think back to the last split and the best of fives that we had in playoffs. Was the only 3-0 the finals?
Well, EOY Patriots was what 3-2.
3-2.
I don't even remember who.
Roar, I think, lost a game. I think they went 3-1. So I think the only 3-0 was the finals. So I like that. I like that bold prediction. Kachow taking a 3-0. I'm not gonna go that bold. My bold prediction is actually gonna be the opposite take. I think the Orcas, they have enough in the tank to force 5 games, but I don't think they win. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go Kachow 3-2. What I'm thinking here as the Orcas. They rotated a lot of players. They played a lot of players in different positions. I think they're going to do that, but in a microcosm in a series where I think we can see, up to 6 players play for Orcas. Um, so that's my bold prediction is we're going to see a couple different jungles for them.
Okay, okay. I'm my actual legit on paper take is your bold take. So I'm gonna go.
Okay.
I think my actual prediction is gonna be Kachow 3-2, and I just think it's because their games where they look the best. Uh, I think Kachow could hold their own with most every team, um, and Orcas had. I'm not gonna say lucky by any means because they look good in their series versus EOI, but outside of that, it's just been a really rough showing. So I think they have enough solid players on their team to string together 1 or 2 wins, but they just haven't shown enough consistency for me to take this whole series.
Yeah. So I think my realistic prediction is Kachow 3-1. I think the Orcas, if I think on their best game, they can take 1 game off Kachow. I just think Kachow has shown to be more put together. They have, from what I can tell from their last week, they have a good idea of how they want to approach the game. I'd like to see that roster that they played with in that last week come back, but who knows? For both of these teams, there are roster question marks, but I think the realistic one is Kachao 3-1. Um, but I'm here for a game 5, so we'll have to see when it comes to them. I think it'll definitely look closer than it ends up being,
Okay, okay,
but
fair.
who knows? I mean, we seem like we're opposite. We're together but opposite.
Same, same, but different.
Same but different. Over in my division, I I mean, boy,
Okay.
I think my
What's your
bold.
what's your bold one?
I'll do my bold take first. My bold take is Elysium 3-0, and this is why. When Omega has played Patriots and BLM, 2 of the better mid laners in the league, they have struggled. I think Storm has the potential to be up there with the best of them when it comes to mid lane. Whether he reaches that or not, that's my bold prediction. But for the sake of the bold prediction, I'm going to say he plays the best of his ability. They really get it going. Concrete struggles, much like he has against Patriots and BLM. They fail to pick up a game.
Okay, okay, okay. I see now. I gotta rethink 'cause I don't want to copy paste what you just whispered to us all.
Sorry.
Because I am also I don't even know if it's my bold prediction or if it's not. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking the same thing, so I'm just gonna go with it. I'm not gonna change it up just because you said it. I'm gonna rock with the same thing. Spicy prediction is EOI has figured something out, and OG against the good performing teams. Um, didn't look so hot, and so if EOI is pushing for that third best team, top 3 team in the league, I think EOI could pull out a 3-0. Looking some of their players looking for that rematch in the finals against those Patriots players, perhaps. Um, Realistically, do I think either team 3-0s? I don't think so because both of these teams have shown solid performances and some inconsistencies for some of their players. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think realistically, I'm gonna go EOI 3-2, and I hate going 3-2s because it seems like it never happens in playoffs, but I'll go EOI 3-2 just because I think they are very close teams with kind of different lanes that could potentially carry. So I'm still gonna rock with EOI, but I'm gonna go 3-2.
My realistic prediction is going to be OG 3-1.
Ooh, okay.
The reason being is we saw kind of the downfall of Dignawash last pit, and a lot of it was because of that semifinals matchup against the Patriots. They came out and played like they were by far and away the favorites, and they got the series off onto a wrong foot, and that ultimately is kind of what did them in, and I have a sneaking suspicion that's what's gonna happen here in the first game against Omega Gaming. I don't know if they have enough reps or if there's enough trust between the players to come back from a loss like that. I think they're gonna head into game one expecting to be the victors and come out of it with a loss. And I don't think they recover. I think they go down. That's my
Okay.
realistic
Okay.
prediction.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll
We'll
see.
see on Sunday.
Of course, the Patriots and Brown Lives Matter get the well-deserved bye. Kind of running through all the regular season opponents, so they'll be eagerly watching those two series, respective series for their divisions. All right, quick question of the day, and then I think we're just about ready to wrap it up.
Yep.
All right. So, QOTD, which teams have all rivals players, I believe, currently on them, or have ones that will make all rivals first team? Is that
Yeah.
where we're
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
rocking with?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, the voting will go out tomorrow, maybe. I don't know. This week, probably tomorrow. And it'll probably be open until Saturday or Sunday. Just so no playoff games get taken into consideration. So, um, I don't think we necessarily predict players or whatnot. I think it's just
Just teams.
what what teams. Because okay, so last split we had what all 5 positions were from different teams.
Yeah, the only double up was MVP and
Yeah,
um
the other
one of the all stars, one of the all rivals, but the MVP was not an all rivals player, so that was kind of
true.
interesting.
So I guess which team? I guess I should probably have had all the teams pulled up on my screen, but
I
let me
mean,
think. Let me think. Let me
my
think. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
mean, let's go. Our realistic answer, if we just did all the power rankings, we're talking about 1A and 1B players. Like it has to be between Patriots and BLM, right? There is a case for a handful of players outside of those two. I'm thinking of a potential couple players from Kachao that could sneak in there. Um,
True.
there's I think one from Omega that could sneak in there. But I think by far and away, the two teams that have probably the most all rivals players this split. I think it's going to be a little bit different from split one. I think it's going to be dominated between Patriots and BLM.
Okay. Yeah. I think at least 3 will be between those two teams. Maybe even 4. I think one's gonna be like you could, yeah. I mean, Chow could have 1 or 2 in the mix. I think JBG could have one in the mix. I think
True.
ELY. I don't think ELY, Orcas, JRBB will have one in the mix. Just a lot of kind of ups and downs. So, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if one team has multiple people, and then of course MVP doesn't have to be an all rivals player. MVP is a little bit different. All rivals is essentially the best player at that position. MVP, different people define it differently. That's just how valuable they are to your team. They might not be the best whatever position, but you take them away from your team and they provide way too much value overall. So yeah, gonna be an interesting one. I need to think of any spicy awards to put on there, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
Those will
it'll be a fun
probably
one
not be announced until finals
after
stream,
quarterfinals. Yeah.
either between quarterfinals and finals or just like right before finals, depending on how we want to do it. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, that is it, folks. We hope you have enjoyed another episode of Rivals Runback. Quick shout out to our sponsor, Real Tough Guy Rugs. Go check them out at the Etsy store. Use code RTG LOL RTG. I got it
Oh,
backwards.
Lord.
It's LOL RTG for 15% off your order. We'll be back on Sunday, bringing you Kachao and
Nope.
No, sorry. Orcas and
Nope.
no.
Almost.
Who the heck is playing?
EOI and OG.
Yes, EOI and OG. I was thinking of the opposite bracket. All right, we'll see you then.